Welcome back to Sailing Small Dreaming Big channel. This is the final episode of our journey to Gotland in 2022. After spending 5 beautiful days in Visby, we set our sails towards Fårösund early in the morning. Fårösund is a small town at the northeastern end of Gotland. And this is also how the strait separating Fårö Island from Gotland is called. Despite the squalls and thunderstorm last night, the morning was dry and calm. We had a journey of 40 nautical miles ahead of us. So the second week of our holiday has started. It's Monday again and we are heading from Visby, Gotland to Fårösund, Gotland. During the night we had some thunderstorms, not actually storms, but there was thunder quite above our heads and we didn't sleep well. Woke up before 6 a.m. to start early. Visby was a very nice town. We spent there 5 days and we didn't feel bored or feel like it was any minute of it was wasted, and nothing like this. It has been sunny all the week, but today it's overcast. It rained hard during the night, but now it's dry. But it's warm. The distance to sail is a bit more than 40 nautical miles. We will arrive sometime late afternoon or in the evening. So far so good. We entered the Strait of Fårösund in the evening. As we approached our destination, I noticed heavy ferry traffic between Gotland and Fårö Island. We were the only vessel in the not so well protected guest harbour this evening. After being on the boat for the whole day, we felt the need to stretch our legs. So we completed a 5-kilometer hiking trip in the town and its surrounding. Compared to Visby, there was not much to see except some wildlife. We did not feel disappointed because our main goal was island of Fårö across the Fårösund. The small harbour of Fårösund, where we arrived yesterday evening and spent quite a rolly night here because there are these 2 ferries which are going like every 15 minutes and the wave is coming in from the entrance and we had side wind, so not very good sleep, but not too bad. During the night, a Latvian vessel had arrived, and there was one more boat arriving to the harbour. The season is over in Sweden. Not too many boats here anymore. Breakfast in Fårösund. After having our breakfast, we took one of the yellow ferries by foot to visit the island of Fårö. There is no guest harbour on this side of Fårö Island. That's why we stayed in Fårösund marina and used the public transport to cross the strait. After a very quick crossing, we arrived to the other side. Next to the port there was a small cafe where we could rent ourselves bikes. So we started exploring the island of Fårö and its beautiful nature. Engelska kyrkogården, English churchyard. This was something to do with the Crimean War and English Navy men who died due to cholera disease. They were buried here. I think this is the burial ground. I think it translates to English cholera grave. There's a picnic place out there. Fårö is known for its sheep farming, as is Gotland. You can meet sheep everywhere. There are a lot of them. Besides sheep, there is one more thing very common in Fårö, and this is a stone fence. There are miles and miles of stone fences. Visited the churchyard of Fårö church, and of course we stepped into the church itself as well. The place is famous because a well-known Swedish movie maker Ingmar Bergman has been buried here in Fårö's churchyard. The Church of Fårö. Our next stop along the way was Ingmar Bergman's museum, the Bergman Center. He was a world-famous movie maker who lived in Fårö Island, and many of his films were shot here. In the museum you can watch documentaries of his filmmaking as well as parts of actual movies. Shit happens. During the visit to the Bergman Center, one of our bikes got stolen, and it looks like it was stolen, not that somebody made a mistake and took a wrong bike, because the other bikes are locked and one of ours is gone. My wife arranged herself a ride back to the port to rent a new bike, and me and my daughter spent the time meanwhile in the Museum of Fårö. Okay, now there are 3 bikes again. A gentleman from the museum agreed to give my wife a ride. Don't you laugh?
gave my wife a ride to the ferry port, and she hired a new bike from there. And it's still unknown because we cannot reach the owner of the bike rental if we have to buy or how much we have to buy for the bike that was stolen. We are now on the beach near Gotland, and there is a place where used to be St. Olaf's Church, which was the oldest one on this island, I think. There is only remains of the foundation left. You have to have good imagination to understand that here has been the church. So these are the sea stacks, or rocks like local call them. Huge limestone, nature-made sculptures.
By the evening we found out that one day on bikes is not enough to discover the whole island. But we still wanted to see as much as possible, so we continued pedaling.
The old fishing station.
Finally we made it to Langhammars, a beautiful place in the northern coast of Fårö, a field of large sea stacks. On our way back to the port, we made some more stops.
This is an old farm, just like it was in the 1800s and something when it was established. Funny thing, we just arrived back to the Bergman Center, where one of our bikes got stolen like 7 hours ago, 6 hours ago. Jaanika rented another bike from the ferry port, and now we are back here, and I told when we rode by that check if maybe your bike is back, and it is back. But it's locked up, and the key is not there, so somebody who took this put it back and took the key with him.
Late in the evening we arrived back to the port. We left our rental bikes at the cafe as we were instructed and stepped onto the yellow ferry to take us across the strait again. We spent our evening in a small pub in Fårösund, where the band was playing, and to our surprise, these were the same musicians who had performed in Visby during our first night there. During our stay in Visby, we had also met them in different venues afterwards.
I got one foot on the platform and the other foot on the train. I'm going back to New Orleans, the way that ball and train. road again. Just can't wait, get on the road again. Hello, Visby, music with my friends. I can't wait, get on the road again.
We came to Fårösund car rental and cannot find anybody here, but here are plenty of cars that we would like to have.
We had decided to stay in Fårösund and rent a car because there was so much more to see in the area.
It's Wednesday, we are still in Fårösund, in Gotland. We arrived to Gotland just exactly a week ago, and what a coincidence. There is another Estonian boat here, and more than that, it's also Olle Enderlein designed boat. They came from Saaremaa. Beautiful boats sail well, the designer Olle has said.
We started our day refreshing us in a well-known blue lagoon, a beach and swimming place in the northern part of Gotland. As a matter of fact, it's an old quarry, and the water is blue because it contains some minerals. On our way back to Fårösund, we made a stop in Bunga Open Air Museum. It was really interesting to see how people lived centuries ago in this area. There was a concert of brass ensemble going on, so we got also part of it.
The dwelling house from the early 1600s. These items are all original. The farm from 1700 and something.
There was a lot to see, and we spent many hours in the museum before we took the yellow ferry to revisit the island of Fårö again.
Decided to go back to Fårö Island to see the places where we didn't reach yesterday because of the trouble with the stolen bike.
Back in Fårö, we visited Gotland's Petrol, a very strange place. It's like a car graveyard. There are mostly American, but also Swedish, some even Soviet, all these junk cars lying around. And then there's a very nice creperie buffet next to it. We had our lunch there.
The infamous Gotland's Petrol. A lot of car wrecks and hopefully something to eat.
The crepes were delicious, and I was very happy that we returned to Fårö to visit this awkward place. A good part of me is petrolhead, I'm afraid. Fårö Island is not only stones, there are also some nice sandy beaches on the eastern and northern side of the island. We didn't feel like swimming. The wind was pretty strong and it wasn't too warm. Before leaving Fårö, we drove to the northernmost end of the island to see the lighthouse that had greeted our arrival to Gotland more than a week ago.
Fårö lighthouse. Seen this many times from the sea. We are at the Fårö lighthouse, and at its history page here is written, in the Second World War many refugees from the Baltic countries landed on the beach by Fårö lighthouse, where they found a warm welcome. They had fled from the war and terror in primitive boats, putting their lives at stake. It's very nice that they have written about this here. Baltic states is where we come from Estonia.
There is no petrol station in Fårösund marina, so we had to grab our jerry cans and go fill them in the town. There was an old chap filling the tank of his old car before us. Not an everyday sight. Sad to say, but our stay in Gotland and Fårö Island was over. We had to set the sails towards Estonia, our home country, the same evening.
We are passing the Latvian cat, which was grounded here more than a week ago. It still looks alive. I hope it will be saved. It's just next to Fårö, near a small island. We are homebound. We've been 12 hours on the sea. Started yesterday evening at 8 p.m. Now it's 8 a.m. Thursday morning. August the... What date is it? Yeah, 18th. August the 18th. My daughter helped me. We started out with pretty good speed, like 5.5, sometimes 6 knots at side winds near Fårö Island. And then the wind died, and there was this freaking wave which smashed the boat from one side onto the other, and the wind was barely sufficient to fill the sails. We pushed it to try to sail as much as possible. Then the wind shifted and started blowing from the back. So we raised the spinnaker, and it gave us about 1 or 1.5 hour more sailing time, like 2.5 knots average speed. But then we gave up because it was so hard on the rigging and the sails flapping on the waves, so we took everything down. Everything was wet because the humidity was so high, but it's not cold. Now in the morning we saw a bit of the sun, and it was foggy. We have covered 43 miles, so the average speed is 3.5, 3.6 knots. So we have covered about 1/3 of the distance by now.
Usually I hate motoring on a sailboat, but when it comes to preparing a meal or eating, then the flat sea is quite appreciated.
20 hours on the sea, weather has improved. We have some wind, but on the nose for us, of course. We are drying the chute that got moist or wet. It was soaking wet because the air humidity was so high. And this is our little air brake because the speed is already too high. We're doing 3.3 knots. There is some work going on here. Smells good. 24 hours on the sea. We've made 78 miles and 62 still to go to our destination, which we chose to be Orjaku in Hiiumaa. Am I correct?
I don't know.
We have headwinds again. Soon there will be another tacking operation. We have thunder behind us, around us, I need to say. It's after midnight. It's very dark.
Although there had been thunderstorms around us the whole night, the morning found us dry and happy. The thunderstorms had moved the other way. We were already near Estonian islands and our phones had internet coverage again, so I downloaded the fresh weather information. A quick decision was made not to stop in Orjaku.
We are back home in our home marina in Haapsalu, and the plan changed. We planned to stay in Orjaku in Hiiumaa, but looking at the weather forecast for tomorrow, we decided that these 30 extra miles from Orjaku to Haapsalu is nothing considering the distance we've covered already. And so we ended up at home. We had a very quick run the last leg. Speeds were 6-7 knots. The weather was pretty rough, but tomorrow it will be even rougher, so it was a good decision. It was a nice trip. The boat Shipman 28, the first models were built in Visby, so the boat kind of visited her roots. Just a final word, a quick fact about the journey. The final leg from Fårösund to Haapsalu was 164 nautical miles, which is so far the longest trip for our Viktoria regarding distance, but not time. We covered this distance in 45 hours and 50 minutes. I think longest crossing has been from Fårö to Visby in the beginning of the trip, which was 46 hours and 20 minutes. And we covered 156 nautical miles.
Thank you for watching, and please stay tuned for Sailing Small Dreaming Big next episode. Back home, I'm going to return to the restoration of my OE36.